So now the fourth superhero movie of the season has arrived. X-Men Apocalypse, of course, a couple days away. I want to thank Fabian and Isaac, you guys know who you are, for allowing me to attend today's premiere. Apparently it was more anticipated than I thought. So much so that a couple of X-Men were there before the movie started and gave us a little preview of what we were going to see tonight. Check it out. I don't have the words. But with that, I welcome you to another episode of The Real-Mentor, where my goal is always to enhance your movie watching experience. So Bryan Singer returns to direct his second X-Men movie in a row. Now, I've been a big fan of the X-Men series, particularly the second trilogy, if you will. I really enjoyed First Class, really enjoyed Days of Future Past. So I was really highly anticipating this movie. Now, some of the early premieres, the reviews were less than stellar. So I kind of lowered my expectations going into it, but I gotta tell you, I don't really quite understand why this movie is getting as much hate as it is. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie doesn't reach the heights of what Deadpool and Civil War had given us this year, but it definitely doesn't reach the depths that Batman v Superman did. Now, off the bat, let me say this is a very good and entertaining movie. It might not be as good as First Class, it's not as good as Days of Future Past, but it still holds its own as far as the third installment of this trilogy. Bryan Singer does a good job bringing everything in. Of course, it's the story of Apocalypse, which is one of the very first mutant, probably the most powerful mutant. For those in the comic book fans that are familiar with him, this guy has powers beyond anybody else in the X-Men universe. And although they don't really do a good job of exploring his powers per se, you know, Apocalypse turned out okay. I know a lot of people were complaining about the look, particularly early on. To me, it didn't bother me. I don't think he was a great villain. Oscar Isaac did a good job of portraying him. I wish they would have given us a little bit more with him, but overall, he was fine. Now, again, much like the other previous X-Men installments, particularly the last two, you know, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, you know, they carried the film. They have since the beginning of this trilogy. They're both great in this movie, particularly Fassbender. I thought he hits it out of the park once more. He's got a lot more emotional arc in this. He gets a little lost in the end, but having said that, they kind of reintroduce him. This is about 10 years, more or less, from the last X-Men movie. Get to see where he's at, what he's about now, and it's the tragic circumstances, which I thought were really good, very powerful, which kind of throw him back into the fray. Now, the other returning characters, of course, we got Jennifer Lawrence, you know, portraying Mystique again. I don't think she's really been that great in any of the X-Men films. She's been okay. I think she's a great actress, don't get me wrong, but she was clearly outclassed by McAvoy and Fassbender. And she's been talking about not really want to be a part of the X-Men anymore. You know what, good riddance. She doesn't want to do it. You can tell her heart wasn't in it. Performance was kind of flat. You know, it didn't ruin the movie by any stretch of the imagination, but you can tell she got her paycheck, she mailed it in, called it a day. Now, other good things I really liked about this movie, the introduction to some new characters, particularly Jean Grey, of course, played by Sansa Stark. I know that's not her name, but Game of Thrones fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. She will always be Sansa Stark. And of course, we got Nightcrawler, who I thought was really, really well done, again by Bryan Singer, who handled them in X2. And of course, Cyclops, who was a good introduction to him into this new X-Men universe. And of course, Quicksilver returns again. He stole the show in X Days of Future Past. He steals the show yet again. He has another really creative scene that Bryan Singer and his crew really knew how to give us this character. And they kind of gave us something similar, but yet different from what they gave us in Days of Future Past, when he helps Magneto escape the Pentagon, all that. Super entertaining, very creative. Absolutely loved it. Again, the best scene of the movie. Now, of course, the movie surrounds Apocalypse and him growing his power. There's a great introduction scene with him in the beginning where they go back to ancient Egypt. That was really well done. Come out really great, kind of set the tone for the movie, because the first hour and 50 minutes are really, really good. It falls a little flat in the end, but I'll get to that in a second. But, you know, she shows him coming to power once again, and obviously recruits for his cause, the four horsemen. So he recruits Magneto and Storm. Storm, I thought, came out pretty well. But Psylocke and Angel were kind of wasted here. I think between them have like 6-7 lines of dialogue about the movie. The motivations were pretty unclear. They were just kind of scenery for the most part until they show up at the end in the final battle. Now the final battle itself, I was expecting something epic, large scale, and it kind of felt a little flat. It didn't bring down the movie that much, but that's the little small things that prevent this from being a great movie, and a great X-Men movie. It was a little bit not as large as I wanted to. The stakes weren't quite there. All this destruction they showed you, but they didn't really focus on the humanity side of it, and why they were trying to save the planet to begin with. They show all things getting all this destruction all around it, but nothing else. It would be nice to kind of see and tie into the humans around there, try to remind us of why exactly they're going at it to begin with. But again, it's just nitpicking. There's nothing major, not a major gripe at the end of the day. And of course, it's not an X-Men movie without Wolverine, the worst kept secret. You know who's going to be in here. There's a cameo. The trailer revealed it when it showed his hand with the claws. And this scene is great. Only one scene only, of course, and you know when it's coming. It's very obvious. And it was awesome. Wolverine kicks ass. That's what he does. For the first 2 or 3 minutes in the movie, he does exactly that. I'm really looking forward to his standalone movie coming up, which they now announced was rated R. But listen, in the end, if you're a superhero comic book movie fan, if you're a fan of the X-Men, you're gonna enjoy this movie. I know a lot of the critics weren't all on board, but at the end of the day, it's very entertaining. It's just 2:20 the running time, but sometimes it feels a little long. It's not greatly paced, and that's because X-Men this is a movie unlike what you see with Marvel for the most part, even DC lately. It's not as action driven as one may think coming from a comic book hero movie. It's more character driven. X-Men has always been about the characters and development, their relationships behind it, particularly with Fassbender and McAvoy, of course, Professor X and Magneto. And this movie is no different. So it may not be as paced as greatly as some other comic book hero movies out there, but at the end of the day, still very entertaining movie. It gives you enough action. You got Quicksilver, you got Wolverine. That's worth the price of admission in itself. You're gonna be entertained, you're gonna like it. Whether you think it's great or not, that's really, again, depends on your own opinion. I thought it was a very good X-Men film. Not as strong as the last two, but I think ended this trilogy right, and usually the third movies are usually the ones where most trilogies falter, and they kind of make a little meta reference to that in this movie as well. But at the end of the day, I definitely recommend it. Go watch it, you're gonna enjoy it. It's because it's not great doesn't mean you shouldn't go to the theater and watch it. You're gonna enjoy it. So at the end of the day, X-Men, what do you guys think? As always, comment below. Follow me at Twitter, The Real Mentor. Don't forget to catch our podcast, The Real Mentors, of course, with my cohorts. We talk about movies, TV, and have a little fun along the way. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and feed my need to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.